see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out, but look, I'm trying to get where I'm going, but haters be trolling, that's what they thinking you got me right where you want me. I tell a ghost just ducked up. Sending them shots, we send them back. Y'all ain't really bout that. Run, it's always bounce back. Need more hands just to count that. Stay on my bully, I need me more breeze just so we can get the team right. Loaded up fully, dogs on the leash, and you be knowing that's a scary sight. Don't happen overnight. Work smarter with some sacrifice. Sugar spice and everything nice. Mix it up, now you got a slice. We bridging the gap, they want us to rap, so could we back? Yeah. Drew need a plaque, we turn to the max, and we never lack.
Like it or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
Good morning.
What it do, James? How you doing this morning, man?
I'm good, brother. How you doing, sir?
Doing good, man. It's Friday. I ain't got no job, and I ain't got, well, actually got plenty to do. We got plenty to do, plenty of news to cover. Rebecca will be joining us momentarily. It's a beautiful Friday here in the state of Georgia, well, in the city of Atlanta. I don't know what it's looking like around the entire state, but the sun is shining for a change. So I'm enjoying it. Right. It's the weekend tomorrow. Shout out to everyone in the chat room. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. As always, we have politics to cover, news to cover, shenanigans to cover. James, what's going on with you, man? What's happening in your world?
Oh, man, not too much, Ben. You know, dreading corporate America today, but happy about tonight, Ben.
Yes.
Definitely excited for tonight.
Tonight, the patron party. The patron party is always live, folks. It is always lit. James is spinning all this corporate music, the music that the industry sends us. I don't even consider that music to be the real music anymore, man. I like the music from the streets that nobody really has heard that needs to be exposed. But there is something about everybody knowing a song that used to be played on the radio back in like 1997 when you be mixing it in with something from 2020, like you be mixing Megan Thee Stallion in with like Anita Baker and stuff. So if they want that kind of mix, y'all come to the patron party tonight. Shout out to everyone in the Lion's Den right now and all of our Twitch subscribers. We haven't forgotten about you. You get the invitation too. And if you are a person who has ever sent a super chat on YouTube, you know how to get up with us. We've already connected with you. You got the email address to our producers, so we'll make sure that you get the link. But everyone come out tonight to the patron party where James is going to most certainly do his thing. That said, let's talk about a little bit of news. I want to start with a story that's been outstanding that we've been trying to get to. And it's a story about how deeply rooted the problem was on January 6th. Now, you've seen this covered probably on a lot of other outlets. It's been covered on independent media as well as mainstream media, but we haven't gotten a chance to cover it. And it is specifically with regards to the response time in the National Guard not being as quick as you would think when it came down to the attack on January 6th. Now, I want to actually highlight this in context of yesterday because there was an expectation that yesterday there was going to be another assault on the Capitol, so much so that Congress decided to not meet. This House of Representatives decided to cancel their session yesterday to protect themselves from the possibility of being attacked yet again by these right-wing extremists who want to overthrow the government in the name of Donald Trump. Now, there's a lot happening with regards to Donald Trump. We'll get to him momentarily, but I want to play this clip so that you can I want to make sure that we cover it here because I want to make sure that everyone is fully aware of what we're dealing with this insurgency from white supremacy. Let's take a look at this first clip.
After conducting mission analysis to support the district's request, I sent a letter to the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, on January 1st requesting his approval. I received that approval in a letter dated January 5th, granting support to the Metropolitan Police Department with a 320 Guardsmen personnel to include a 40 personnel quick reaction force. The District of Columbia National Guard provides support to the Metropolitan Police Department, the United States Park Police, the United States Secret Service, and other federal and district law enforcement agencies in response to planned rallies, marches, protests, and other large-scale First Amendment activity on a routine basis. A standard component of such support is the stand-up of an off-site quick reaction force, an element of guardsmen held in reserve with civil disturbance response equipment, helmets, shields, batons, etc. They are postured to quickly respond to an urgent and immediate need for assistance by civil authorities. The Secretary of the Army's January 5th letter to me withheld that authority for me to employ a quick reaction force. Additionally, the Secretary of the Army's memorandum to me required that a concept of operation be submitted to him before the employment of a quick reaction force. I found that requirement to be unusual, as was the requirement to seek approval to move guardsmen supporting the Metropolitan Police Department to move from one traffic control point to another.
Okay, so that was D.C. National Guard Commander Major General William Walker testifying before the Senate regarding security failures leading up to the Capitol Hill insurrection. Major General testified that the National Guard normally did not need authorization from the Pentagon before deploying. However, in the days before January 6th, that policy was mysteriously changed. And that's what he went on to explain. Now, when asked later how they might have responded without these layers of red tape, Walker responded that he would have immediately pulled all of the guardsmen that were supporting the Metropolitan Police Department. In other words, James, there was a structural component to the mayhem and the terrorist attack on January 6th that included people who are charged with protecting and serving this country, who took the oath to defend the Constitution against that threats, domestic and foreign. But it seems as though there was a structural impediment for them to actually execute that oath. Mm-hmm. It tells me that the desire to overthrow the government not only came from these insurrectionists, these terrorists, and these treasonous pigs, it also came from within the government itself. And while I know this has been covered, my thing is this is precisely where everyone needs to drill down. And by everyone, I mean all the investigators, the FBI, right? The Department of Defense needs to do its own investigation, because these problems, I mean, all it would have taken would have taken just a couple of commanders being willing to go the distance with Donald Trump for our government right now today to be fundamentally overthrown in something that we don't even recognize. Not saying that things are good now, because again, as soon as we get done with this segment, I've got a list of things that we got to talk about with regards to how bad things are right now. But as it stands, there are people in this government who are so committed ideologically to overthrowing the government on behalf of their right-wing ideology, on behalf of Donald Trump, that they would tie the hands of the very people who are charged with having a quick response to defend the Capitol. To me, it's like this should be the headline every single day until we find out exactly what happened. But instead, like we talked about yesterday, they're obsessing over Dr. Seuss. They're obsessing over the gender of Mr. Potato Head. And they're doing all these ridiculous things about cancel culture. And here these treasonous bastards marching up the steps of the Capitol, destroying offices and killing people. Yep. That's not news anymore. When you see this clip, what does this tell you, man?
Man, it tells me that it started at the top. Started from the head and worked its way on down. It made no sense that the response time was as slow as it was. This is the Capitol building. This is America's home, if you really think about it. So just for them to not do anything, I think it's a bunch of bullcrap, man. I honestly do.
I just can't get over the fact that had these people been two different, let's do two things. Had this been a left-leaning insurrection, meaning people who believe in egalitarianism, people who believe in taxing the rich, people who don't believe in capitalism. Had this been an anti-capitalist protest, I don't care what color they could have been, right? They could have been purple. They could have been indigo, right? If they had been white, it doesn't matter. Had this been a left-leaning anti-capitalist protest, they would have been out there in no time flat. There would be hundreds of people dead right now. Tanks would be rolling in the streets. And it's because the ideology that marched up the steps of the Capitol is so closely aligned. I mean, it's like one for one. It's almost like the Spider-Man meme. Like they're pointing at each other, fighting each other, but they are the same. And because they are the same, this is exactly why you see the response time being twice, 3, 4, 5. I mean, like I think he said like 3 hours at one point, the response time. And then you had officers and confused as to whether or not they should use force. There would have been no confusion. They would have rolled out jets in the Capitol had this been a left-leaning anti-capitalist protest or insurrection. Now, let's go one step further. Had this been black folks, I don't care what your ideology is. See, black conservatives, you think you could get away with this, but y'all sitting in jail right now. Some of y'all sitting in jail thought you could go up there. I don't care what your ideology was. If this had been a black, brown, or indigenous protest, there would have been bodies all over the Capitol, and we would be talking about the great massacre of January 6th right now. Yep. But because they do not care about the threat that comes from white supremacy, they do not care. When I say America, the ruling elite, the most powerful people in this country, on the face of this planet, they don't care that white supremacy damn near destroyed this country on January 6th because they are white supremacists. They do not care that these ideological right-wing extremists marched up the steps and threatened their democracy because they are right-wing ideological extremists. And it goes beyond just the people who were in the crowd. It goes all the way, like you said, James, to the top. It didn't start from the bottom. It started from the top, and now we're here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Rebecca's going to join us, and we got a lot more news to go. We'll have more Like It or Not when we come back after this.
Good morning, everyone. Shout out to everybody that's joining us this morning. That's up in the chat. That's everywhere, y'all. We appreciate y'all for being here this morning. Make sure that you hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we're going to get into some of this good music, y'all. Let's get it. Sweetheart, good morning. Alicia, good morning, man. Love you too.
I remember vividly, etched in my mind like filigree. Visions of a gritty street, living so my kid can eat.
Courtney, good morning. Happy Friday, y'all. Not Friday, but Friday. We made it through the week, man. Woo.
The message cleared my head like antihistamines. Time to do my job, consider me the man of mystery, the secret agent. And you're the boss is known to be impatient. She need the package. She says it's so close she can taste it. I saw the look in her eyes. I was unsurprised. Ain't nothing new. Already been through this 100 times. She can't settle. Hunger strong enough to smash metal. So I slide in the driver's seat and match the gas pedal. Blast off across the asphalt.
Hey, good morning. I see y'all singing in the chat.
Then check the rear view to see who's creeping behind me.
Brenda Johnson, good morning. Esther, good morning. Hey, I can't wait till this evening myself, man. We're definitely gonna go down tonight. Chuck Diesel, good morning. Nicole Johnson, I appreciate it, Nikki. Courtney, yeah.
I'm never rushing, on time every time, no discussion. Moon shines down like it knows something. I hope it doesn't. I'm at the pickup spot that got the best product. Package in the back of the restaurant. The chef's got it. I step inside, he approach me slowly. No words needed.
Brand, good morning. Good morning, mama. Love you.
Perfect, ready for the handoff. It go down slick as a magic trick. Call me Gandalf. Now I'm back on the street, bag full of heat in the passenger seat, and I'm gnashing my teeth. I feel the hunger too.
Aurora, right? I see you twirling, sister.
Package back to the boss before her blood boil. It's covered in foil, wrapped up tight. The only thing to satisfy her appetite, she gotta have it right. My love for her is crazy. I make it back safely and watch her face light up because it's that tasty.
I could really use a change of scenery. Yeah, everybody smoking all the greenery. Yeah,
we gonna play some of the favorites for the week, y'all. It's Friday, y'all. Let's turn up. Let's have a good time.
I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It can all be worse. I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Pills to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you from the inside out. So right now,
Martha, good morning.
say it with your chest now. Say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me.
It get a 9. I appreciate that.
It's my time to run.
Yeah, mama, we got this today. You gonna get that vaccine? You're gonna be all right.
It's my time to ride. I'm young.
Nikki mama is Gwen Williams. That's Mama Gwen.
Nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time to ride it out.
Good morning, Stephanie. Good morning.
Cheers to all the haters, cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly.
Hey, Kat, I love you too, but appreciate that. Go,
words, I could be a hater like you.
Please get them elbows.
Close to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you from the inside.
Right, I'm looking at my hands like, damn, I ain't getting nothing on my hands, though.
To say it with your chest now, say
knuckles just ashes, black as they wanna be.
Free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my
Latif, we appreciate that super chat.
It's my time, it's my time, it's my time to ride. I'm young, I'm free. Can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time.
Yes, Rebecca. I see you.
It's my time. It's my time to ride.
It's the delay. It's the delay. The Zoom that you do. Okay, wait. Who just did that run?
Song right here.
He did it, not me.
James, you did that run?
I possibly could have.
I feel it. Okay. Welcome back, folks. I love this song though. That's what I'm talking about. See, you don't find that kind of music like low key, high key. We gonna change the paradigm. We gonna keep playing this royalty free music because you just don't get that kind of vibe on the radio, man.
That's real.
No.
When I tell you I love this music, like dead ass, I love this music.
Yeah,
like,
for real, man. It does. It's a good one. Rebecca, happy Friday.
It's Friday. It's Friday. And I'm sorry I was so late to the party, but
you didn't have to say. We could have pretended like it was intentional. You had to tell everybody.
Right. Look, every time I put myself on blast, sometimes I overshare a little bit too much.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, you do. There's a couple episodes I'm like, oh my God.
Like, what is she gonna say right now?
What she gonna say? Like, what's the other day she was talking about ammonia and baby's pee, and I'm like, oh my God, come on, Rebecca.
Because the older you get, the more
the more you don't care. The more you don't.
No,
care.
the older you get, the more your pee becomes.
I don't see. No, I shouldn't even brought it back up. I'm talking about the older you get, the less filter you have. Now that's what's true for me.
Yeah, because I've lived in a bubble. Yeah. I feel like most of my life and trying to please people and trying to appease people, whether it's dudes, whether it's family members, whether it's school, they telling me how to live my life. And I am tired. I'm 30 years old now. And I figured out people, no matter what I do, they're going to come in my inbox. They're going to say comments about me and say that I speak too loudly. They're going to say that I'm this and I'm that. I'm never going to be enough. But, one thing I like to think about for myself in this season is that I am enough. So, and that, that's it. That's your morning tea,
what's
baby.
that you used to say? I was going to say, we need to say,
I'm too much. I would say I'm too much and not enough. But and now, it's too much and just enough for me. Man.
Something's going on here. The devil's a liar.
The devil's a liar.
I don't know what just happened. It's like just came all of a sudden. No. We good over here. Like, whoa.
Why are we laughing at him? That is terrible.
Hey, no, what's funny though is like no matter what. My kid, like, we're gonna have a whole new generation, man, of folks. Like every time you cough, people gonna say coronavirus because they all have seen that. What's our sister name? Cardi B. That video? Cardi B. And so my kids run around the house, and I can't do it if I'm sniffling and my nose is running. My little son be like, coronavirus, and I'm like, come on. And now it's true. Like every time I get a scratch in my throat, every time I cough or run, I'm like,
Lord,
where did I go? Where did I go this week? Anyway, it's the new anxiety dream. Is anybody else having dreams of like being out in public without a mask on, and you have like those? Anybody else, or is that just me?
People are actually doing it. What you mean?
Well, I have anxiety dreams about that. Like I wake up and I'm like, oh Lord, I can't believe I went out without a mask. And I'm like, no, dude, you're in your bed. So it's kind of like those dreams. Okay, go. What about the dreams where you wake up and you think that you're late for class and you remember you graduated 30 years ago?
Jesus. No, literally, like I thought I was late for work. It's like, that's a nightmare for me, like every morning. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I slept through everything. Oh my goodness. And it'd be like, girl, it is 3:00 in the morning.
Look, I had a dream like somebody had took my keys out my pocket. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Then I woke up and realized like, oh crap, I just slept through all my work shift.
Oh, that happened to me. Remember, Ben, the other day you called me?
I was like, where you at? She's just snoring.
I slept through everything. When I say my job, everything, they were calling my phone and I had to be like, it was.
Don't tell the truth on the air. They watching.
And it was.
I be trying to
I slept through that.
This girl.
When I tell you I say I'm like, I don't care. Look, you heard me. I don't care. I share mine on the air. They probably watching. It's like, okay, can y'all fire me, please? I'll take that. No, let me stop. I'm just playing.
You're right.
I'm just playing.
But if they do, it's a.
Oh yeah, don't say that either. Yeah.
Rebecca.
All right, enough.
We done. Stop right there. Okay.
You can't take black people nowhere. I promise you, it don't matter what. You can't take us nowhere. That's it. Let's get back to some politics. Donald Trump is the most ungrateful man in the history of ungratefulness. The Republican Party has rolled over. They've played dead. They've capitulated. They've acquiesced. They have licked his boots, right? And it's not enough for Donald Trump because Donald Trump took to the Wall Street Journal and gave it to Mitch McConnell on Thursday. And I want to read a couple of quotes because, well, damn it, they're funny as hell. I want to read this first one. He says, quote, there were two reasons. This is Donald Trump speaking. Two reasons the Senate races were lost in Georgia. First, Republicans did not turn out to vote because they were so angry and disappointed with Georgia Republican leadership and Governor Kemp failing to stand up to Stacey Abrams and the disastrous consent decree that virtually eliminated signature verification requirements across the state, having a major impact on the result, a rigged election. And he continued. Not just Kemp, he went after Mitch McConnell next. He said, Senator Mitch McConnell's refusal to go above $600 per person on the stimulus check payments when the two Democratic opponents were touting $2,000 per person in an ad after ad. This later point was used against our senators, and the $2,000 will be approved anyway by the Democrats who bought the Georgia election, and McConnell let them do it. Then he went on, he went even further. Even more stupidly, the National Republican Senatorial Committee spent millions of dollars on ineffective TV ads starring Mitch McConnell, the most unpopular politician in the country, who only won in Kentucky because President Trump endorsed him. He's talking about himself in third person. He would have lost badly without this endorsement. All right, there's more, but I want to pause there because Mitch McConnell, Brian Kemp, all these Republicans have gone groveling to Donald Trump, basically saying, please, sir, give us some more.
Please, sir,
and
give us some more.
Donald Trump is like, with your little dirty ass. This is what he's saying to these folks. And they still keep kissing his ass, Rebecca.
It's never going to stop because they know that...
James over there moisturizing his hands.
You better get that Vaseline. What you use to moisturize your hands?
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Vaseline is right here on the table.
I got Vaseline. Bruh, I got Vaseline right behind. Donald Trump. Talk about Donald Trump, Rebecca.
We play too much. Vaseline, cut the check. Cut the check.
Cut the check. Vaseline, what's up?
But seriously, though, they're always going to continue to ride his coattail, rent his penthouses on his nuts, because that to them will keep them in place where they're still getting money. They're still getting funded for doing nothing. They can say what they want to say. It's I'll represent bad no matter what, because it keeps money in my pocket. It keeps me out of jail. You know, if I say I support it or I did this or whatever, it benefits them from doing these kind of things. It will always benefit them from doing these kind of things. So they don't care how crazy, how dumb, how disrespectful, how hypocritical they look. They don't matter how many times we can go and pull out the receipts. They'll do that. They're clowns. It's a whole circus. It's been a whole circus. And I don't know if it's gonna, I don't even know if it's gonna change.
Like, you gotta have some dignity.
There's
some
none.
Self-respect. Like, bro, like Ted Cruz, how you let this man talk about your wife, call your wife ugly, and you still kissing his ass? Like,
money over everything.
Right.
Like, you gotta have some self-respect. He called him I mean, everything. Lying Ted, like that stuck. Little Marco Rubio, that stuck. These clowns, and they're so it is just disrespectful. Like, there's nobody.
It's very disrespectful. But it's also kind of funny, and that's the problem. He's an entertainer. He's an entertainer, and but he was the president of the United States, and we gave him that pass. America gave him that pass. Oh, he's just an entertainer. So what he did was monetize on that, and people monetized off him being an entertainer. That man wasn't no leader. Not in that space. That was not a space for him. And what happened was what they did was a leader. Yeah. And they tried so hard to say, he's a businessman, man, and he's an entertainer. He's the president. So, there was no reason that when he was president, all of those excuses were made, but it benefited those Republicans who already did nothing. Now they were able to literally sit back and let this man do whatever he wanted to do and still get paid and still pull up to the parties, the Republican parties, and break bread with Donald Trump, do businesses on the side, all kinds of BS. Oh yeah. It all benefited them. Some of them had books after working for him for just a week, a day. They all, some of them go on to go to shows. Some of them become professors. Some of them become all of that. And
tell them to call you back later. That said, though, at some point you gotta, like, how does Ted Cruz face his wife? Right? How does Marco Rubio look himself in the mirror? How does Mitch McConnell not like toss himself on his back of his shell and just play dead? Like, how do you continue going on as a human being? I don't even want to throw like masculinity, toxic, like be a man. No, I'm just saying, like, as a human being, you gotta have a threshold where you say enough is enough, but not Donald Trump. Because you're right, Rebecca, he's an entertainer, and he put out a second statement last night because he saw he was getting the clicks and he wanted more. This time he went after campaign strategist and Republican strategist Karl Rove. Thursday evening, he said the following. He said, Karl Rove has been losing for years. Now, mind you, I got to put this commentary. Karl Rove actually is a person who helped George W. Bush win in 2000. So Karl Rove has actually done a lot for the Republican Party to the detriment of humanity and society, mind you. But let me continue. Karl Rove has been losing for years, except for himself. He's a rhino, Republican in name only, of the highest order, a pompous fool with bad advice and always has an agenda. He ran the campaign for 2 senators in Georgia and did a rotten job with bad ads and concepts. Should have been easy to win, but he and his friend Mitch blew it with their $600 versus $2,000 proposal. Karl would be much more at home with the disastrous Lincoln Project. He got them in there too. He said, if the Republican Party is going to be successful, they're going to have to stop dealing with the likes of Karl Rove and just let him float away or retire like the idol Bob Corker, Jeff Flake.
Like little.
I missed the little Bob, and he even put the apostrophe at the end. Little Bob Corker, Jeff Flaky Flake.
Jeff Flaky Flake.
Jeff Flaky Flake and others like Toomey of Pennsylvania who will soon follow. Let's see what happens to Liz Cheney of Wyoming. And then he says, if it weren't for me, the House would have lost 25 seats instead of gaining 15. It was a shock to everyone and almost cost Pelosi her speaker position. Likewise, 8 to 10 senators would have lost their position, including Carl's friend Mitch, our wonderful leader who would rather spend his time fighting me than Pelosi, Schumer, and Sleepy Joe.
And Sleepy Joe.
And so all of these, first of all, who is quoting this man? And the fact that he put little that way, because they know that's how he said it.
Because I didn't.
They know that's how he said it.
I couldn't even believe. I thought he said idol. I thought he said idol. Like, it didn't make sense. Idol didn't make sense, but I just didn't think he was going to actually put little.
No, little.
This man is, okay, so.
Little.
Jeff Flaky Flake. Who is this? Can y'all believe this man was our president?
Joe.
This man was our president for
Sleepy
4
Joe
whole years.
I missed the comedy though.
So anyway,
but why?
He is.
Why is Joe sleepy?
It's funny outside of power.
Is he funny? It was funny with the names because it was just like.
Don't comment. Don't ask me why Joe is sleepy. Don't ask me that because
I just.
Because we're gonna lose more subscribers. I lose Twitter followers every day. I lose subscribers every day because we tell the truth about Joe Biden. But so don't ask me that. But why is Jeff Flake flaky? Is he flaky because he's not consistent, or is he flaky because he has a dandruff problem?
I was gonna say that. Is it dandruff?
You never know.
Why are we playing too much today? No, I literally when I heard Flaky Flake, I thought dandruff. I thought Head and Shoulders. I thought deep conditioning treatment.
Psoriasis.
I thought
he needs that medic. He needs that shampoo that needs disclaimers.
You know those people where you'll see that, like
hives.
When you're standing in line and you just see strands and things just like is something on that strand moving? What is it? And it's just on every other strand, and you got to step back. You don't want it to jump out on you.
Yeah, eczema.
Man, listen.
You got eczema.
Black folks say, well, I won't say black folks, Haitian folks say, when you get your hair done in braids and you get in the dandruff, hair is growing. That means hair is growing. Hair is growing. But when I do see it, like on people's shirts and stuff.
Oh, man.
It's
somebody chat room.
It's time to watch the hair.
Oh, man. Somebody recommended Jeff Flaky Flake. It's and I don't know why it reminds me of DJ Jazzy Jeff. Like, it's just the pattern. Like, Donald Trump, he's not funny. He's an asshole. And the thing is, sometimes assholeryism is funny. I just made that up, right? It is funny. And I'm so glad that he's no longer in power. And the thing is, though, is he controls the Republican Party. Like, they are his to this. I mean, he controls it so much that he could talk about their mamas, their dead mamas,
their kids.
I guarantee you, he could talk about their children. He could talk about their sick children, and they're going to line up. So my question is at what point will any of these people, and they missed the opportunity with the impeachment, they refuse to hold Donald Trump accountable for the insurrection, for the terrorist event of January 6th. And now he's like, oh, I could do what I want to. And so now he's basically out here talking about their mamas, and they're all going to fall in line and do what he says because he controls the party. They didn't do their job to get rid of him, and now he can do whatever he wants, which tells me, though, it's funny right now because he's not in power. But this man, if Joe Biden doesn't do what's necessary, this man could be right back in power in the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. That's the scary thing about it.
As crazy as it sounds, though, guys, as crazy as it sounds, this is something that can happen. Yes. We've seen him win already, and people are claiming to miss him and miss his policies and miss being racist in the streets. I mean, I don't think it'll be any different under Joe Biden, honestly, but they miss being those type of people out loud, and they feel like they're going to be forced to go back and hide themselves under their hoods and be fake leaders, doctors, lawyers. They feel like they're going to have to be forced to do that. But with Donald Trump, they were able to live freely, right? And do their dirt and not get reprimanded for anything. A lot of police officers are worried that they're not going to be able to kill for free. Okay? So that's what they will literally lean into to make sure that within 4 years, Donald Trump could possibly be somebody back on the ballot. So
yeah, he could be back in the White House,
back
right?
in the White House,
because he's got enough money, right? He ain't as rich as he tell people, but he's got enough money and enough power from being the president of the United States to actually live for another 8 years, even though he eats hamburgers every single day. Like and raw steaks every single day. He has enough money and finances and pull to actually live long enough, and he controls the political party. So even if he doesn't live long enough, he's the kingmaker. He gets to decide who's up next. So even if Donald Trump chooses not to run for office in 4 years, he literally can pick someone else. And you know what all these people are going to do? They're going to fall in line. And so the real question is this, and this kind of, I don't really want to be serious about it because like we already know the answer is there's nothing that Donald Trump can do or say to these chuds that will actually make them stand up and have a backbone. But I am curious, James, Rebecca, what do you think he could possibly say for them to like finally be like enough's enough? Could he talk about, he already talked about the mamas and the daddies, so I guess there's like nothing. Can he do a joke? Can't do a joke when it's
it's pitiful.
It really is because there's really nothing he can do that they're not going to stop backing this man.
Yeah,
I'm like,
there's nothing we can say. There's nothing we can say. There's nothing that we can do. They will not stop backing this man.
He called that man's wife ugly, and then Ted Cruz got on the phone and fundraised for him.
Because he probably called him and said, "You know your wife ugly. Come on, but I got this money for you. But you know your wife ain't. She ain't a looker. Like, she ugly there.
You and I both know your wife is ugly, Ted. So don't get mad at me for telling the truth.
Come on, Dad. She's ugly. Look at her. We only need 1,000 more votes. Just 1,000.
Come over here with me, and I'll give you an escort of the highest order." That's what he said.
Oh my God! You can grab him you can grab the other girls by the. All right.
Right.
Anyway, all right. Let's take five. Let's take five. James, play a quick song. When we come back, we have more news. It's really all absurd stuff today. So we come back, we have more shenanigans of politics. We'll be right back.
It's Friday.
Gotta get
the end of the week of the last day. Hey. All right, y'all. We hope y'all are enjoying the show thus far. We're gonna get into some of this music and get everything together, y'all. Let's go.
I'm the boss of the boss cause I sign the checks. Got the new Balenciagas, then I step on next. Get you a girl that can do both. Set up the meaning, the sex on the table, able.
Shout out to everybody that's in the building. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
We need everything in one. I will never go to jail when I spit these bars cause I'm a real G, I'ma take that charge. Only real charge that I know is black cards. Money long up to Mars. Fridays I'm pulling out. Little ratchet just for now. Hands up, ladies, throw your hands up. 100 bands up, we don't take no days off. Then I drop it downtown with it.
Marquez, you right. Happy cut that check day.
Ground with it, ground with it. Hands up, ladies, throw your hands up.
Social Democrat, good morning. Hey, y'all make sure that y'all hit that like button, hit that like button, hit that like button, and make sure that you share, subscribe, y'all. It's like it or not.
Pull up in the Phantom, but the gang don't need the bandana. Got my girls, I'm a winner.
Angela, you know I ain't got no sense. Nick, good morning.
That was cute, but I can buy my own dinner. Tonight, I don't care if I'm a sinner. And then I start working the sprinter. Cause on Monday, the fun day, go back to the boss. Turn these M's to some B's, I don't care what it costs.
Yeah, I think Twitch is tripping right now. Something going on with their streams.
Roll your eyes, break it down, cause we don't play. Fridays, I'm pulling out. Fridays, I'm pulling out.
Y'all make sure that you get the Voices by Action Sprout app downloaded and join the Like It or Not community. Make sure that you use group code 213-756, 213-756, and you can join the Like It or Not community. Y'all, let's get it. Let's go.
Throw them bands up and don't ask what's in the cup while I bring it downtown with it, down with it. Drop it to the ground with it, ground with it.
All right, y'all, it's Friday. You know we wouldn't be right if we ain't play Slide to the Left, right?
Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on.
Lisa Noel is terrible. Don't trust anybody, what anybody says, okay? It's horrible. Totally, totally horrible.
Slide to the right, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right. Come on, come on, come on. Yeah, right hand is wrapped around your waist. I love the way that you be twirling to the bass. Moving sideways on a Friday. DJ playing all of your favorites. I'm digging your flavor, yeah, yeah. Cause the vibe, let this be real inside.
It get a 9 right. Just keep sliding to the left. Slide to the left, Lord. Just keep on coming to the left, y'all.
Slide to the right, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right.
Purple Rain Hearts, I appreciate that. Y'all know I do what I can.
Slide to the left, slide to the right, come on, come on, come on. Hey, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, slide to the left, slide to the right. Rock with me, baby, we can do this all night. Slide to the left, slide to the right, come on, come on, come on.
Thank you, Susan.
Ooh, baby, it's like the world is on our side. Nothing can bring me down tonight. And ooh, baby,
Me and y'all dog.
you and I, your touch sends chills down my spine. Alright, I got
Lily, I appreciate that.
love you. Take me away, girl, to a new level. It's heaven on earth, on earth. I found an angel. I found an angel.
Melanie, what's going on, Melanie?
Found an angel.
This is Bob right here.
Ooh, baby.
It's giving Kim.
People would try.
Yes, Rebecca. That's who it is, Kim.
Oh, we back on screen.
So bright.
It's such a delay in the Zoom room that we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it is.
No,
oh my God.
I literally, no, I don't look at the production. I always look at the notes and everywhere else, and then I look up and be surprised when we're on screen. That's on me. That ain't.
I gotta see because right now my real hair. I gotta see if it's giving me
sitting right.
right here. If they're giving me flat ironed over here. What's
Girl, it's giving me everything I need, okay?
Oh, thank you.
So, Rebecca, I need to compare some notes. I need you to help contextualize something for me because you're a runner, right? You run.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been excited about the fact that I can run 2 miles now nonstop. It's been the first time in some years that I've been able to do it. But like, what's an average run for like an average healthy person, like on a daily basis? What's an average?
So, you know what's crazy? I used to try to answer that question for myself, but you would think you would see the most fit person and I can be running alongside that person. And it used to be, oh, I need to run faster than them. And if I can make it in this particular time, And it's honestly, if you can, you have to just run for you, sweetie. And that's just it. If you compare it to the same one or what makes it healthy, I was listening to, because I was doing a run on Nike Run and cut the check. Whoever I mentioned, cut the check.
Right,
but I was doing a run I do definitely document my runs on Nike Run. And
where the money reside.
I was listening to someone speaking, like a motivational speaker on the app. And they were like, I would give you a time. I would tell you what's best for you. But the fact that you got up to do this was just enough. And your run itself was just enough. And so, Ben, I saw you say the other day, I ran 2 miles and,
first time since Methuselah.
That's a big thing because I've ran with people who look more fit than me and can't even make it past a certain area, right? Can't even make it half a mile. But, you have to do whatever works for you. And that's healthiest for you. And each time that you run, it's going to get even better. So,
it is like, I'm finally, because I've been doing a mile a day for a little while. And then that second mile, I would just do some interval, try to sprint and whatever to try to, and then I just said, what the hell, let me try 2 miles. And I did it yesterday. I was like, oh, pretty good. I did it again today. I think I'm on to something. I think I could do it. I didn't need to contextualize it because, I ain't run.
Because I
haven't run since Barack Obama was president. Loki. So
but the fact that you did 2 miles, you don't have to contextualize anything. This is your journey. This is your run. And I used to be so stuck on numbers. Oh my God, if I can beat this at this time, at this time, at this time, at this time, and that might work for some people, but that used to mess me up because I used to push myself and my body used to be like, girl, have a seat, like whatever. So I started doing this thing that my professor at my Florida A&M professor, TV production, shouts out to Kenneth Jones. How you doing, Professor Jones? The legend, Professor Jones. He was a runner. Now, not to say that you can't look at him and be like, Professor Jones, you be running. Because I can't see it. Not to say that. Because he just looked like an older guy who that wasn't his thing. But that man was a runner. He said that he was also a preacher. And he told me, when you run and you feel like you can't make it, because he runs marathons and things like that. And he's like, when you run and you feel like you can't make it, you just kind of like find a little thing that's close enough and say, if I can just run to that tree. And then after that, if I can just run to that post, if I can just run there, if I can just every time you get to that small marker, if I can just run to that, if I can just run to that. And he's like, and don't overdo it, but just set these small markers for you, your journey, your path. That's going to help you out. And even though I was already a runner, I wanted to do a few marathons and I did end up doing marathons. But when I was practicing, I was looking at numbers so much, and he's like, focus on the little markers and then, start, moving yourself. And then when I would do the markers, the tree, the post, the basketball court, the flowers, I would realize, girl, you done did 3 miles. So,
right.
Okay.
So I will say,
for me,
I tell y'all, I run 4 miles every day.
You ran what?
I run 4 miles every day.
That's right.
Hey, man. That's
Listen,
what's up,
I'm just playing child. I don't run no goddamn work. I'm just talking about.
Hey, we weren't going to deny it. We weren't going to say otherwise, bro. We going to follow your lead.
Well,
hey, man.
Marquez in the chat just said I run from the couch to the refrigerator. That's it. That's about
Y'all over here lying.
Hey,
Ben over here was really trying to figure out what works for him.
Right. No, well, I'm laughing at Martha Benton in the chat room. She said, if you see me running, you better run too. So shout out to Martha. But no, see, for me, it's a mental thing. Like I was straight up yesterday. I didn't know if I was going to make that second mile. So the second mile, all I was doing was loop. Don't stop. Get it. Don't stop. Get the entire mile.
And I think I
won't. Okay.
Yeah.
That worked for you.
So shout out to Uncle Luke. Send me a check, Uncle Luke. Nah, I'm joking.
Cut the check.
Cut the check.
Cut the check. Somebody cut a check. Hell, go to patreon.com/.
Everybody. Okay, look, it's Friday. It's Friday.
Everybody.
We have a party tonight.
Stop what you're doing. Super chat it up, or head over to Patreon and definitely gift.
Yeah.
Because, it's Friday, you're having a good time with us, but Monday through Thursday, we gave you all that you needed, and we're still giving you all you needed today on Friday, and we're going to take it into the evening with a little bit of more, some music and a party. Don't play with us.
Don't play.
And Rebecca, hey, y'all, for real, when we go to these patron parties, you would think Rebecca is actually in the club, right? Rebecca be in there just like, I'm like, oh, Rebecca, you in your apartment. But nope, Rebecca be like, she well,
y'all see me with my drink, my hookah, and don't let me put it down and then start, looking back at it. Like, I don't go out, y'all. You have to understand, I don't. Like, I go out a few times, but I don't, and I have to quarantine after that because then I'm in my head with it. Oh my God, do I have coronavirus? But when I get a chance to just be around people for real without being around people, it feels good. So I got to do what I got to do if I'm in the crib with it.
Yeah, I definitely want to come to the patron party tonight. We have a guest coming up in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about what's going on in Georgia. Actually, it's going on around the country with voter suppression. We started the conversation yesterday with State Rep Renita Shannon. Be sure to follow her on Twitter and support them. And the other thing is we're going to start focusing and featuring a lot more state representatives from across the country because one, they be dynamic as hell. Like high key, they really have a fire that needs to be on the federal level, but we also are grateful that they're on the state level because that's where a lot of the action happens. So I say that to say, if your state rep or somebody in your state is like doing the damn thing, like really out there fighting, connect us with them because we don't know them all.
Please.
I mean, we can obviously go and look down everybody's rosters and be like, but no, we're looking for those people that got voices and got something powerful to say. And we're going to continue that conversation today with Cliff Albright about what's happening in Georgia and Black Voters Matter and the voter suppression that's happening in Georgia. In the meantime, I do want to just do one quick story. That you guys remember the guy who had his feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk during the insurrection?
Yeah.
He was a badass that day, right? That day he had his feet kicked up and he was like just taking stuff from her desk. Yeah. But he had a tantrum. He had a tantrum in court. He's been arrested. And Richard Barnett, he's an Arkansas man charged with breaking into Speaker Pelosi's office and stealing her mail on January 6th. Tried to flex his privilege by throwing a tantrum in a virtual court hearing on Thursday. Now, Barnett was yelling at the judge and his lawyer saying that it wasn't, quote, fair that he was still in jail weeks after his arrest. He was quoted as saying the following, quote, everybody else who did things much worse are already home. He later added,
you have to whine when you read it.
Read it for me. Do it for me, Rebecca.
Everybody else who did things much worse are already home. I've been here for a month and they're going to set it for another month and everybody else is getting out.
You got to do it like the old country redneck.
Everybody. I was about to do it.
Do it.
It's off the screen.
I'll do it. Everybody else who did things much worse are already home. I've been here for a whole month and they tried to set it for another month and everybody else is getting out. So
why do you sound like a black man? No, you sound like it's everybody else who did things much worse are already home. Okay? Billy Bob and them are home. I've been here for a month and they're going to set it for another month.
Everything's the devil to you, mama. Everything's the devil to you.
I got a whole farm out there with horses, and who's tending to my horses?
There's nobody tending to my farm. What the hell you mean I can't get out of jail?
This is some Black Lives Matter stuff. They're behind all of this, and the whole reason why I'm here, Billy Bob. Do you hear me? Do you hear me, Mary Sue? Do you hear this? The whole reason why I'm here is because you know what? Christ on the cross. I don't want to be in here.
It took me out. Got me in here with these colors.
These colors.
They're touching me. They're looking at me. They're waiting for me to get out there to go get my lunch. Can't even eat my lunch in peace. Yeah.
Some big black guy said he's going to take me in the shower. What the hell does that mean?
Now they're trying to brand me with the swastika. I don't even want to use anything like that, but I don't want to be with the swastika. Hey, this swastika.
Oh man, Christ on the cross. That did it for me. I'm done.
Oh, that did it for me too, man.
Hey, is Cliff ready? we gonna get canceled. So after a brief recess to calm down Barnett, Judge Cooper resumed the hearing, saying that he would consider a new motion for release if and when Barnett's lawyers filed one. Oh man. I don't even care about that last sentence. Just do Christ on the cross.
Christ on the cross.
No. Christ on the cross.
Oh goodness. Let's make fun of some more Neanderthals. But speaking of Neanderthal, right? I call Republicans Donald Trump. I've been calling them Neanderthals for a minute.
All week, all day, all month.
Somebody found some tweets of me from like last couple of years. And I'm like, oh, I'm pretty consistent with this Neanderthal thing. But Republicans are trying to act like it's such a big deal. But the truth is, like, y'all are dumb. I'm sorry. Like, y'all are really like high key just Neanderthals. Jim Jordan. appeared on Fox Business News and managed to show more concern over Dr. Seuss than the concern that he showed over the kids that he coached at Ohio State. Let's take a look at this clip.
I think you're right. I think Americans are just fed up with this all. I mean, first it was Kermit the Frog and the Muppets, Mr. Potato Head, then now, Dr. Seuss. But don't forget, they also came after you guys. They come after Fox News, One American News, and Newsmax, too. So this is frightening where the left wants to go. I have said, I think this is the biggest threat to freedom we face because, do you have a functioning First Amendment when only one side's allowed to talk? Do you have free speech when only the left can determine what gets said?
Now, folks, this is Jim Jordan. And I'm not going to laugh about what he's concerned about versus what he should have been concerned about at Ohio State. Because there's a lot of young athletes who were assaulted, molested, and violated under his watch. This clown-ass Neanderthal wants us to be more concerned about Dr. Seuss books being canceled, which nobody's canceling, than the fact that he actually presided over the assault and excused away and covered up the assault of I don't know how many athletes. Now, setting that aside, these folks really have no common sense. I want to play one more side. And this is their obsession with Dr. Seuss. And Professor Sinkowitz actually put it into great context. This gives them something to be mad about without actually having to do anything about anything. This is like the war on Christmas. This is like the everybody's getting canceled. Kevin McCarthy decided that he didn't want to talk about voting rights and voter suppression. Instead, during the debate over voting rights and voter suppression, he made these comments about Dr. Seuss and cancel culture.
H.R. 1 rewrites election law and imposes a one-size-fits-all partisan rules from Washington. Under the Constitution, we generally defer to states and counties to run elections. Democrats want to change that. First, they outlawed Dr. Seuss, and now they want to tell us what to say.
I got nothing else to say about these Neanderthals. These folks, they're morons. Rebecca James, I just wanted to play those. What y'all think?
Dr. Seuss? Really? Y'all so infatuated with Dr. Seuss that much? Them books was racist as hell.
They were.
And here's my thing though. Y'all will go after putting that on the market, after having us, repeat it and quote it. Sam I am, green eggs and ham, and make it such a monumental haiku and, poetic, justice. Oh, and this is the problem though. But we did it, but we already went through that whole phase of it. Y'all remixed it for us, made it seem like it was so amazing. But there's real racism happening in this world. And y'all will focus, y'all put in the news cycle, even Joy Reid, I love you so much. Even you, sis, like there's other news that we could have put in place of that. Cori Bush should have been in place of that. That's where I say it's up to us to get this right. It is up to us to get it right because they're going to put that in there so that we don't highlight Cori Bush on the main level. They're going to make sure that we put, Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head in there so that we don't see who else they're killing in the background or what other countries they're bombing. Like they're going to make sure they put this in there so that we don't see why the real reasons they're not giving us our stimulus checks or what the real reason is behind it being delayed so much. And all of a sudden Kamala Harris popped up yesterday. Like this, they do this to keep our minds down. Look, I sound like a conspiracy theorist because they be like, it was them keeping the man down, keeping our minds in jail, caged.
Wait a minute.
Removing our focus.
No. Listen, if you're gonna do an impersonation, it's got to be Christ on the cross. It's got to be that Jim Baker. Well, not Jim Baker. What's the guy? The last segment, Richard. Whatever. Nope, not Richard Baker. Richard Baker is actually a really good friend of mine. Garnett. You got to do the Garnett voice forever and eternity, man. These clowns. It is Barnett. It is. No, but for real, like it ain't a conspiracy. It's literally what they do. And the only reason we're talking about it is because it's like, y'all got to be kidding us. Yeah. Ben Carson. Matter of fact, David, would you please go to Twitter and get the video of Ben Carson and he is on Fox News, literally looking at his phone and reading Dr. Seuss as if this is news. But the strategy behind it,
oh my God,
it's ridiculous. No, it is ridiculous. But the strategy is exactly what you're saying, Rebecca. The strategy is simply this: it is to distract us with the most foolish things possible, to deflect from the fact that they're doing everything in their power to maintain and seize power at any cost. They are doing voter suppression across this country in front of us, and they dare us to do anything about it. Meanwhile, they're coddling and using these ridiculous stories to keep their base nice and angry. And you even got some black folks. Folks, I just want to say this. Anybody who know me, anybody who follow me on social media, do not come into my mentions worried about the damn gender of a damn potato. Do not. Because I'm gonna lump you in. I don't care where you from. I don't care if we go all the way back to second grade together. I'm gonna lump you in with the rest of these Neanderthals. You come in my mentions worried about some goddamn potato head gender. That said, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk more about this voter suppression that's happening across the country. We'll be right back with more Like It or Not after this.
Just let me know that I can't stand none of y'all. My gosh, man. I'm just sorry to everybody that's joining us this morning, y'all. Make sure that y'all hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff, y'all. Hope y'all ready to dance a little bit, because I am. Just a little bit.
Just another sunny day in Southern California.
Shout out to the Lions Den that's checking in, y'all. Lions Den family, hope y'all having a good time and enjoying this, y'all. Shout out Sensation, good morning. Tamika, my sister is in the building. Good morning, Miki, love you.
Slice of heaven, it's the only place we're living. It's that West Coast point of view. Easy when it's always summertime for you and I.
Now, hey, Nat Squad. Good morning, Nats.
It's been turning kind of gray in Southern California. I'm allergic to the rain. What happened to euphoria? Oh, oh.
Happy Friday, Mara.
With the palm trees, it's all or nothing. Ooh, it's all or nothing. No other signs. It's all
Black Dragon. I got the whole family in the building today. My brother's even here, y'all. Good morning.
Listen, on a little slice of heaven. It's the only place we're living. It's that
Mommy, ain't gotta worry about that. Courtney, I appreciate it.
You better leave me alone.
Nick, right. Mama says she's coming over to hide all my stuff. Okay, Mama, I'm grown as hell, but okay, I will.
But you just couldn't be bothered. You never knew what love is about. It gets me 'cause there is no doubt. There is something about you. Thought I was nothing without
That's
you.
right, bright man.
You made me beg and you made me crawl. You played me and you made me fall for you. It's sad but true.
Okay.
You're no good, still I'm loving you.
Yes, it is. I'm gonna catch you. Lisa Noel, thank you so much. Mark S, I appreciate it.
I'm gonna pack my bags up, walk out the door. I won't be back, you'll see me no more. No, no. You better leave me alone. I miss you, but I'm sick and tired of loving you. I don't know
Right. All right. Yes, it is.
I'm gonna miss you, but I'll be gone. You know I don't wanna fight ya, but
Lunacy, I appreciate that.
It makes me wanna scream and shout.
Yep, Ben, like definitely.
I think you never leave me, but you cheated and deceived me. You never cared for me at all. You have
right.
It's true. I'm so good for you. You're no good.
Oh, you ain't dancing. Don't do it.
But I made up my mind. I'm gonna pack my bags. I'll walk out the door. I won't be back. You'll see me no more. No. You better leave me alone. I miss you, but I'm sick and tired of loving you.
Southern Sweetheart, we appreciate that super chat, y'all. Hey, I think we've missed a few other super chats. We thank y'all so much for that.
Please leave me alone. I'm gonna miss you, but I'll be gone. I sure will miss you.
The robot.
I'm gonna miss you.
Shout out to the Lions Den, y'all. Shout out to the Pride. We appreciate y'all.
I sure will miss you.
All right, coming back to the screen, y'all. And this is I'll Be Gone by Nikki G. It's my brother Ben. What's going on, Ben?
It's Friday, man. That's a vibe right there. I belong in the 70s. That's the Soul Train line music. I am excited to be joined by co-founder of Black Voters Matter, radio host, writer, consultant, social justice activist Cliff Albright, who is doing extremely important work tracking and fighting back against the voter suppression that is being brought to you in part by Georgia Republicans and spreading across the country. Cliff, thank you so much for joining me this morning. How are you, brother?
Hey, man, I'm doing good after that little music interlude we just had there.
Hey, listen, man, all the shenanigans that is happening across this country, all the stuff that Republicans are doing, and quite frankly, the ruling elite are doing, we got to put some music in between these segments to keep us nice and balanced. That said, you are working and bringing light to the issues that are happening here in Georgia. With the voter suppression, the blatant voter suppression that's happening, as well as tracking what Congress is doing and the Democratic Party is trying to do to overcome those barriers. Just kind of contextualize for us what you're seeing and how you're fighting back against it.
Yeah, so, I know a lot of your listeners know about, obviously, what happened in Georgia back in November and then again in January in terms of both the presidential and the Senate runoff elections. Black voters came out in historic numbers, made history, shocked the country. And so in response to that, what we have is a Republican-led state house, state Senate, as well as the governor, who are trying to roll back voting rights. It's the most sweeping attack on voting rights that we've seen, not just since the civil rights movement of the 50s and 60s. This is the most sweeping attempt that we've seen since, you have to go back to post-Reconstruction, really, to see this level of attack, right? Over 50 bills that they introduced. The two biggest of which are right now are pending. They've already made it through one house, about to be voted on in another house that would do everything from getting rid of absentee voting, vote by mail altogether, to raising the age, to getting rid of drop boxes, to getting rid of Sunday early voting, because it's not just an attack on vote by mail. This is an attack on early voting. So they would reduce the days, get rid of Sunday, which they know is the day that a lot of Black communities and Black churches do souls to the polls. You name it, photo ID. They've rolled it all into this just kind of perfect storm of voter suppression, all under the guise of trying to stop voter fraud, which their own Republican Secretary of State said did not exist. They investigated not once, not twice, but 3 times and found no voter fraud, right? And this is a vote by mail system that they really created back in 2005, never had a problem with it, never felt that it was fraudulent because they expected their voters, Republican voters, to be the main ones to use it. So that's what's going on right here. And then we're fighting against that in a number of ways, including stuff at the state level as well as stuff at the federal level.
And we spoke with Georgia State Representative Renita Shannon yesterday about this. And I guess the thing for me is how blatant they are. Like they don't care that this is an all-out assault on our ability to actually win elections. In fact, in some of the testimony at the federal level in the Supreme Court, one of the lawyers supporting these types of legislations that we're seeing across the country actually just admitted that this was a zero-sum game, and that if they wanted to do this so that they could help Republicans win, and it was so embarrassing that Donald Trump's appointee, Amy Coney Barrett, actually had to cut him off at the last. They are so transparent in what they're doing. My question is how is this even? How can they be so transparent and so blatant with it to the extent where it's almost like the hoods are out? And simultaneously, they're acting as if this is the reasonable, moral, and just thing for them. They're acting as if what is a criminal infringement on our rights is just and noble and worthy. Talk about that weird dichotomy that we're in.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of dynamics to it. On the one hand, it's quite simply like this is what happens with white supremacy, and particularly over the Trump years, where white supremacy was allowed to just be out in the open, right? To say the quiet thing out loud, right? Mm-hmm. That's one of the legacies of the Trump era, where if you do that, and if you do it often enough and big enough, then people can't really catch up to what you're doing, right? That's why they flooded the legislature with over 50 bills, and it's really more than that at this point. Over 50 bills are related to voter suppression, because if they're that blatant about it, and if they flood the system that much, then it's like, okay, there's nothing that you can do about it, and it's okay to be openly white supremacist when you've just had a person in the White House that has done so for 4 years. That's one dimension to it, but the other piece of it is this, and this is really important. We're very clear that this is an attack on Black folks. This is an attack on Black and brown voters, right? This is rooted in anti-Blackness. This is rooted in the same falsitous democracy that have existed since its founding, right? We're clear about that. But at the end of the day, this is about affecting democracy in an even bigger way, because part of what leads to what you just said, being able to be so blatant about it, is this. When you've done it enough, when you've suppressed enough votes, when you've gerrymandered your districts, then you've created a situation where you are completely insulated from votes. You are completely insulated from democracy. You're even insulated from your own base. That's why you have a situation right now, not just in the state, but in this entire country, where these Republicans are going against things that are wildly popular, that even people within their own base support. Minimum wage, wildly popular. The COVID bill, wildly popular. Healthcare, wildly popular. All these things, even common sense gun law, right? Wildly popular, but they are insulated from it. That's what happens when you have this voter suppression. The anti-Blackness that leads to you to create these kind of undemocratic systems eventually bounce back, and it affects the entire system. That's what's happened in this country. The Trump years have made it worse, but we're very clear that this existed before the Trump years.
That's so important. You said the anti-Blackness has a reverberating effect and comes back and it's detrimental to these white folks who support it, right? And I want to contextualize it now in terms of what people are doing to fight back, because all of this is made possible by the decision Shelby versus Holder, where now none of these states have to check with the Justice Department before they make changes to the voting systems, particularly states in the South that have a history, right? There were, I believe it's 5 states, Georgia's one of them, that had a history of voter suppression. And but prior to Shelby versus Holder, any change in the voting process had to be checked with the Justice Department. Now that's gone. We're trying to get a response in order to overcome that barrier on the federal level. Talk about HB1, HB4, but also what's happening on the state level in terms of pushing back.
Yeah, so in terms of HB1 and HR4, the For the People and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, obviously we know that HR1 was voted on the other night. And we're hoping that it gets moved in the Senate. But at the end of the day, to get moved on in the Senate, what's it going to take? You're not going to find 10 Republicans that are going to support, expanding voting rights. So what this means is, for voting rights, as well as some of these other things that we've talked about, minimum wage and other things, what it means is you've got to get rid of the filibuster. The truth is, we would have liked to have seen them act on on these voting rights bills on day one. When Joe Biden was walking down Pennsylvania Avenue, shaking hands and all that stuff, he should have been on his cell phone trying to figure out and talking to Congress, talking about, okay, this is what we need to do to get these voting rights passed. Because at the end of the day, if you don't deal with the voter suppression, if you don't pass these Voting Rights Act, every other piece of the agenda, even stuff that they might actually get passed, it'll be for naught, because you're going to have a system come in. You're going to have these a new Congress come in. If you allow them to suppress the votes, if you allow them to continue gerrymandering, Congress is going to look very different after these midterms, not to mention 4 years from now. So this should have been day one, right? Yes, COVID has been important. We needed all of that. But if you don't act on voting rights, then everything else becomes irrelevant. So we would have liked to have seen it done sooner. But we're at where we're at right now, with the need to get rid of the filibuster. And we got to deal with, and I know you've been talking about, we got to deal with these two, I call them Manchinima, right? Manchin and Cinema, Manchinima. We got to deal with them, right? We got to find a way to hold them accountable. I'm not accepting, Joe Biden did a statement when the parliamentarians said, that we couldn't put minimum wage, and he did a statement talking about he was disappointed. I don't need you to be disappointed. You've been in DC for 47 years. The vast majority that you were in the Senate. If you ain't figure out in them 40 years how to twist some arms and cut some deals and get two senators to act right? If you can't figure out, that's part of the reason we put him in office. We put Joe in office for two reasons, right? One, because you were supposed to deliver the white vote. Didn't exactly do that because more white folks voted for Trump, right? You were supposed to deliver the white vote. And then because you had this legislative experience, so you were supposed to be able to move this stuff. Right now, you're looking 0 for 2. So we need you to do some of what Lyndon B. Johnson did. And I'm not a huge LBJ cheerleader, but I'm going to be honest. What he did know how to do, he knew how to work that doggone Congress. He knew how to get some votes. He knew how to count some votes and twist them arms and cut some deals. He knew how to he had to be pushed into it, right, by the movement. But he knew how to get that Voting Rights Act passed when it came time to get it passed. That's what I need to see out of Joe Biden. That's what I need to see out of Chuck Schumer. And we got to have those two pieces of Voting Rights Act passed. That's the federal level. And then on the state level, our main thing is because it's a tough road. It's a heavy lift in our state legislature. But guess what? There's organized people and there's organized money, right? The corporations in this state got some organized money. What we're asking for is the folks that sit in this state, the city that was too busy to hate, we don't need you to be too busy to deal with voter suppression. We need Coca-Cola. We need Delta. We need AT&T. We need UPS. We need these companies to take a stance against voter suppression, to take a stance in support of democracy. The same things they would do, the same lobbying, the same full force that they would use if their industry was under attack. Imagine if these bills weren't voter suppression bills, if these were anti-beverage industry bills. What would Coca-Cola do? Would they sit back talking about, we're going to take a balanced approach? No, they'd be using the full force of their money and their politics in order to squash such bills. We need them to be just as aggressive at defending democracy as they would be at defending their own businesses. What's the sense of having an office of social responsibility if you're not going to be responsible on voter suppression? Like, what's the point?
It's a lot. Look, I would sit here and listen to you all day. But in regards to voter suppression, we know that it is. You said the thing that this is built in anti-Blackness. This is rooted in anti-Blackness. And one thing about it is what a lot of people who work at the state level, who work at the federal level, whether they're Black or white, whether they're Democrat, we see how like Ben always says, all skin folk ain't kin folk, and all people that we think who just because you're Democrat ain't going to be for what you're about. They're going to be the ones, as Renita Shannon said yesterday, Representative who was on the show yesterday, she said they're going to be the ones in the room being afraid to say the word Black people, being afraid to push out things that are going to benefit Black people because they want to make sure they keep their positions. They want to make sure they're appeasing the right. But in this time, you just read all these state and federal folks for filth. What is a call to action for the people on the streets for us to mobilize and organize in this particular time to help us put out the message to fight voter suppression?
Yeah, great question. I want to shout out and great job with Radita yesterday. You know, big fan of hers. If we could replicate folks like her and Representative Park Cannon and get that kind of courage and fierceness right in the legislature, some of this would even get squashed before it even got to this point. So shout out to her and to y'all for having her on yesterday. We're doing a couple of things, right? We've got some phone banks that are going up today. We've got some sample scripts that are going up on our website today. Our first step, I forgot to mention this, our first step was yesterday. We did a full page ad in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That's the main newspaper here in Atlanta, as well as in the state. And we're also doing ads in 20 newspapers across the state, because we're not just trying to hit up Metro Atlanta. We're doing ads in places like Savannah and Macon and Columbus and Valdosta and every place in between. The full page ad, which calls out these businesses and asks them, it calls the question, where do you stand on these issues? We need you to make a statement and show up in support of Black voters and in support of this democracy. So that was phase one. Gave them a day to respond, and the response has been lukewarm at best. So we're moving into phase two, which is we've got scripts up. Our partners over at New Georgia Project Action Fund, we're also working with the NAACP on this. We've got a petition. We can send y'all the links. Y'all can post the links, but you can go to our website, blackvotersmatterfund.org, or you can check us out on social media, Black Voters MTR, like Matter, Black Voters MTR. And we'll have all these links on there where you can go. Again, it's a petition form. Folks can sign up, again, pressuring these companies to take a stance. We're doing phone calls. Anybody, not just in the state, anybody in the country can make these phone calls, right? We want their phone lines to be clogged up with folks that are calling up, doing the script, saying, we want to know where you stand. We demand that you take some action. Anybody in the country can make those phone calls. I guarantee you, if by the end of this day, if Coca-Cola's lines are all filled up, then they'll feel the pressure to take action. I guarantee you, by the end of the weekend, because Delta, your reservation lines are open 24 hours, right? On Sunday, on the weekends, guess what? This whole weekend, it's All-Star Weekend too, right? The NBA is getting involved in this. All weekend, we want to be flooding these phone lines. So that's phase two. And if they don't act right after phase two, we got phase three coming, right? So those are the things that folks
stay ready.
So you can go to our website and social media to get more information about all that.
Let me phase one, phase two, phase three. I kind of have an idea and just in the back of my spirit.
Don't get to DEFCON 4. They don't want DEFCON
4. Because now that I know that that there are no super spreader events outside in the streets, right? They're scientific for COVID-19. We safe taking to the streets, wearing these masks. People got vaccines. They don't want us to take it to DEFCON 4 because you're right, man. I want to emphasize what he's saying for everyone in our audience, everyone who's listening to the podcast. We're going to get the links. David, if you grab the links from them, I want to share the links in the chat rooms, all the chat rooms. I need everybody to do at least one call. If you can do 5 calls, just help us, because at this juncture, Cliff, it sounds like we're having to make this appeal to the corporate America that benefits from Black folks here in Atlanta and in Georgia, generally speaking, because of the power dynamic in Georgia, because they're going to sign these bills into legislation, right? They got the House, they got the State House, State Senate, and they got the governor's seat. And without pressure from the people who got the money, we're in trouble. So everybody in the audience, I want to make sure that you get these links and actively participate in it. And we're going to all participate in it until we get the results we need, even if we have to go to DEFCON 4. Cliff, give the people how they should follow you and where else you want them to go before we get out of here.
Yep. So again, they can check us out on social media, all of our social media, Twitter, IG, Facebook, Black Voters MTR. You can follow me on Twitter. It's Cliff_Notes. Again, we'll have the links to our website, to our friends over at New Georgia Project, to their website. Our friends More Than a Vote, right? LeBron James and them over at the NBA, they've got some actions as well. We'll have all of that on our social media, on our websites. There was one quick thing I wanted to also point out, because it's not just that these companies have been silent on this issue. They've actually been supporting this issue in a subtle way, in an indirect way, because many of these companies, in fact, all the companies that I've named, they've actually given millions of dollars to the very legislators that are sponsoring this voter suppression, these voter suppression tactics, right? Over the past 3 years, AT&T has given almost $100,000 to the very sponsors of these voter suppression bills. So they have actually quietly been facilitating and supporting these very same voter suppressors who, by the way, aren't just trying to suppress votes in Georgia. These were the same ones. Many of these state legislators signed on to that Texas legislation, you probably remember, where they were trying to overturn the election. Some of these legislators also signed on to that. So these are serial voter suppressors, right? This isn't an isolated incident, and these companies have been supporting them with campaign contributions for years. So they're not just quiet, they're actually complicit.
And and all of this, because black folks, brown folks, and young folks got out and turned Georgia blue, and they done lost their damn minds. And they say, never again. We can't let them black folks dictate what happens in the state again. And so thank you so much, Cliff, for everything that you're doing, and everyone over there, Black Voters Matter, and everything. Anytime you guys need to come back on to amplify any message, just let us know.
Thank you. It's great being here, y'all. Great job.
Pleasure's ours. James, take us to a quick break. When we come back, we have another interview about why it's time for us to fight dirty. We got to fight dirty back against the people who are fighting dirty against us. We'll have more Like It or Not when we come back after this.
Shout out again to Cliff Albright. Thank you so much, sir. Great interview, y'all. Definitely enjoyed that. Woo, y'all. It's Friday. Happy to the weekend.
Tell him I need my money right now. Probably the juice, they stole out my crown. Yeah. Sorry to tell you, I know my value. I'm gonna recoup, yeah. But don't waste my energy. I don't got much, don't be wasting all my energy.
Make sure that y'all hit that like button, hit that like button, y'all. Share, comment, subscribe, y'all. Make sure that you like button, like it or not.
We could just find it. I thought yours was like mine, but let me find out. You've been going around throwing shots, running plots. Come on, man, tryna block my blessings, but no need for comparisons. What's from me won't be from me. Yeah, I'ma go through just to grow through. But pay me what you owe me for, I make what you've been saying about me true. Tell them I need my money right now.
Nick, what song is that, Nick? What you got?
My crown. Yeah. Sorry to tell you, I know my value. I'm gonna recoup, yeah. Don't waste my loyalty. I let you in back then because I couldn't see, but now it's clear you ain't ever been true to me. My intuition ain't ever lied, I had to leave. Handle your business, do what you think you need to do to get your revenge, but you won't break it, yeah, that's my witness. But I'm no return, I'm on a mission. Tryna block my blessing, but no need for comparisons. What's from me won't be from me. Yeah.
Say it again.
Hey, make sure that you go to patreon.com/the BPD show, patreon.com/the BPD show to support the show and become a patron and get ad-free and exclusive content, and you get to be in the building during our patron parties. What you don't want to miss, y'all.
Your time is up. Damage done and now it's stuck.
What do you do? I got you.
Roll the dice, and now you have to pay the price. Yeah, I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no. I'm not even sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no. I'm not even sorry. You're gonna be the lonely one. Say it again. You're saying you feel.
All right, Nick, let me see if I can find it. I think I know which one you're talking about, but I got you.
Only you can do that. My heart was open wide. I could feel it breaking deep inside. 'Cause it's too late, your time is up. Damage done and now we're stuck. 'Cause it's too late, you roll the dice, and now you have to pay the price. Oh,
yes.
I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no. I'm not even sorry, you're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now.
Hey, Justice, yes I would. Man, I love traveling and DJing all the time.
You're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry, no. I'm not even sorry, you're gonna be the lonely one. I'm in a better place now. I'm not gonna worry. I'm not even sorry, you're gonna be the lonely
one. All right, y'all, welcome back to the screen, Brother Benjamin.
Welcome back to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth and not care who doesn't like it. I want to bring our next guest to the screen. His name is David Faris. He is a contributing writer for The Week, professor of politics at Roosevelt University, and he's author of It's Time to Fight Dirty and the Kids Are All Left. David, thanks so much for coming back on this iteration of the show. And you've been with us several times before. How are you?
I'm great. You know, just we're all living our best lives right now, aren't we? So
doing the best we can in this pandemic. It's always a weird question, but I always feel like we should ask because we can't take for granted with everything that's happening around us. Your most recent book, The Kids Are All Left, dealing with the ever increasing progressiveness of the younger generations. And I think everyone should definitely check that one out. But for the context of this conversation, your previous book, It's Time to Fight Dirty. It is so important because of the tenets that you outlined. You called this out years ago about how Democrats needed to respond to this authoritarian push from Republicans. Can you just give us a synopsis and some of the key steps that you say Democrats need to be willing to do in this moment?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, the basic problem in American politics is you have a Democratic progressive majority in this country that gets filtered through these ridiculous, archaic institutions. And then you get Republicans winning elections that they should lose. And so the book just offers a set of kind of simple recommendations that can be done with simple majorities by Democrats in Congress if they can just kind of work up the courage to eliminate the filibuster and get working on these things. You know, one of the biggest ones is a huge Voting Rights Act that was just passed through the House that has a lot of the same ideas in the book. You got to enlarge the size of the Supreme Court so that the things that you want to do legislatively don't get killed by the 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court. And you got to change the way we elect the House to make it more representative. And big, one of the big ideas, you got to give statehood to DC and Puerto Rico. We got this 50-50 Senate right now. And I think you can feel just by following along the news the last few weeks, there's 2 or 3 Democrats that just don't want to play ball on getting anything done. And if we had 54 seats, instead of a split 50-50 Senate, we wouldn't have to worry about Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. We just do what we want. And so it's like Democrats just keep seeming to want to fight with their hands tied behind their backs. They don't want to use the same procedural escalation, the same kind of hardball that Republicans do, because they're afraid of the PR backlash. Or in the case of Kyrsten Sinema, who seems to be genuinely ideologically committed to the idea that the filibuster produces better legislation out of the Senate, which I would say it produces no legislation out of the Senate, which makes the voters and the rank and file feel like, why do I bother turning out for elections if you had a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate, and you can't get your priorities through the Senate because you're committed to these absurd sort of rules that could be changed with simple majorities. So the book is just sort of a call to action to say, stop pretending that we're going to arrive back at some bipartisan paradise. Accept the reality. Republicans will never work with us. When they are in power, they will use every tool at their disposal to make sure that they get their agenda through. And that's the same thing that we need to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you ran down a list of those, right? So if I could kind of summarize it, it's like, one, they need to pack these courts, because whatever we do, Amy Coney Barrett and the rest of them are ready to strike it down. Right. And so pack the courts, DC and Puerto Rico statehood, as well as abolishing the filibuster. And then we can actually get some things done. Critical point that you said in there that I want to highlight. You said it discourages voters. Because what incentive, and if you don't mind just kind of unpacking that a little bit more, like, why should anybody vote for Democrats again if they are in power with the ability to get things done, but they don't want to because they're more interested in protecting the filibuster than they are getting a progressive agenda accomplished?
Yeah, I actually think this is one of the primary contributors to cynicism about Congress and to low turnout rates and the difficulties that Democrats have turning out their voters, because they get into power and you think, okay, we're getting our $2,000 checks and we're going to get DC statehood and we're going to get voting rights reform and we're going to get criminal justice reform. We're going to get all this stuff that we want. We're going to get to work on immigration stuff. And then they get into office and it's been 6 weeks, Ben. They've been in office for 6 weeks, 0 bills, right? But Biden has signed 0 bills with any meaning in them. And I think that people just don't understand why it takes that long. I think they don't understand why there's a certain small segment of Democrats that remain committed to these outdated norms and expectations about working with Republicans and all these ridiculous rules they have in the Senate to slow down debate and the passage of legislation that could also be changed with a simple majority vote if they wanted to move things along faster. And it's like, when the next election rolls around in 2022, we're going to be going out to the base voters and saying, like, all right, you ready to go? You ready to do this? And they're going to say, why? They're like, what bother? Why should I work hard? Why should I put my blood, sweat, and tears into this? When you get elected, and you can't fulfill your campaign promises because there's 3 or 4 Democrats that won't play along. And I think that most people don't actually follow politics closely enough to understand that this is like a Manchin cinema, Dianne Feinstein problem, rather than the other 46 Democrats who I think do want to do most of this stuff. But it doesn't matter that, like, the perception is the same, the outcome is the same, and the outcome is paralysis and gridlock.
Right. So in all of your reporting on this, all of your studying on this, and my question kind of asked if you could get into the head of somebody like Joe Biden, right? Which probably can't do, but why? Why would they risk the future of this country? Because 2022 is going to be a shellacking, like Obama said 2010 was, right? 2022, they're just itching for a shellacking. So this is like bad politics. So it's bad morally, it's bad politically. Why is Joe Biden holding to these institutions?
I mean, I think there's 2 reasons. I think that the formative years of Biden's career, like the bulk of his time in the Senate, was spent during a time period in which he did work with Republicans across the aisle. I don't think he did particularly good things when he was doing that, but that was the philosophy that he was brought up with, and I think it's been very hard for him to let go of the idea, that you can go to breakfast with Republicans and hammer out a deal, and Democrats and Republicans go to the gym together and they socialize, and that's how that's the backroom deals. You get things done. Greatest deliberative body in the world, folks. And I think he genuinely has some remaining commitment to that idea. I think he doesn't want to live in this world where you have to jam everything through with a simple majority vote. And that's unfortunate. I think the other thing is that this is what he campaigned on. He did say, when I'm elected, Republicans are going to have an epiphany. They're going to realize that they have to work with us. This is what the American people want. I do think he's cleverly repackaging the idea of bipartisanship to be bipartisan public support for something. So he's saying, okay, so Republicans aren't going to vote for the COVID bill, but the public wants it, right? 80% of the public wants it, and that's bipartisan. So that's a clever move rhetorically. I think it's a good way to package simple majority rule, but you actually have to do the simple majority rule,
right?
For that maneuver to have any meaning, right? And I think he's afraid of people saying, like, "Oh, Joe Biden promised bipartisanship, and this is what we get." And it's like, yeah, they're already doing that. Like that's like Fox News 24/7. They're saying, they're attacking us for this partisan COVID relief bill. And so it doesn't matter what you do. They're going to attack you the same way, or they're going to talk about Dr. Seuss or whatever ridiculous things, entertain America's white grandmas and grandpas. So, I think it's just, maybe this is a long game. We always like to think when there's something happening that we don't like that our politicians have a plan, like 6 months down the road. Maybe they're going to change their tune. Maybe this is all a show. Maybe Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin and Biden have gotten together and said, look, we got to give this 3 or 4 months of runway. We got to bring up a bunch of bills and have them filibustered, and then come back to the American people and say, look, we tried, but they won't play ball. So we're going to kill the filibuster and we're going to enact our agenda. Color me skeptical of that. I don't understand why you would waste half of your real political time, because elections in this country, they move so fast. You elect the whole House every 2 years. That's the shortest election calendar in the world. It's actually bananas, but that's the way it works. So you've got a year or 15 months to get your stuff done before the next election cycle starts. And then all the moderates start to get jittery and they don't want to do anything. So I just think they're wasting time, honestly.
Let me, if with the time that we have left, one last thing here is because some of this isn't even fighting dirty. I'm using the title of your book, right? Abolishing the filibuster. It's not really fighting dirty, but let's categorize it over there. Vice President Kamala Harris's ability to override the parliamentarian decision on $15 an hour is not fighting dirty. It's merely a usage of her constitutional authority, and they're not even willing to do that. Could you speak on that with the few minutes we have remaining?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I would have loved to call the book "It's Time to Use Our Constitutional Authority," because that's actually what it's about. It's really, I don't want to steal elections or play, really low politics. I just want the Democrats to use the power that the Constitution invests them with when they win power and they win an election. And so it doesn't work this way in any other democracy on earth, where you think that you need super majorities to pass simple legislation. You go over to the UK. They don't want 75% of the House of Commons to agree to something. It's like the government comes in. They said we're going to do these things. And in pretty short order, they do them because they believe that majorities are empowered to act. That's what democracy is about. And so the idea that to get anything passed, you need to get 10 Republicans on board is just something that makes no sense to people in other countries. And it's not in the Constitution. The filibuster is not in the Constitution. All the Constitution says is that the House and the Senate may make their own rules. So the Democrats could wake up tomorrow morning and say, you know what, instead of 30 minutes of debate every time a Republican objects to something, we're going to have 30 seconds of debate. We're going to move this stuff along. We're going to pass this bill. We don't care about the Budget Reconciliation Act. This whole thing where they need the parliamentarian to rule that this relief bill is in keeping with this 40-year-old piece of legislation called the Budget Reconciliation Act. All of this could be done away with tomorrow morning if the 3 or 4 Democratic holdouts would just agree to it. And I honestly don't understand how, after watching the last 20 years of history, they don't see that the only way to avoid getting wrecked in the midterms is to do what you said you were going to do, and to make America prosperous and Americans happy. Right? That's the only way to avoid these midterm losses. It's not to show to the American people that nothing works, and to show to your own base voters that their work is pointless. That's a recipe for disaster for them too,
Exactly, because I'm one of those people. I reluctantly voted for Joe Biden because I knew we had to get rid of the white supremacists in chief. But if they don't do what they're supposed to do, I ain't voting for them. I'm not voting for any Democrat ever again, because what is the point? And there's a lot of people who carry that same sentiment. David, listen, it's always a pleasure. Thank you so much. Contributing writer for The Week, professor of politics at Roosevelt University, author of It's Time to Fight Dirty and the Kids Are Left. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me again, Ben. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure is ours. James, take us to a quick break. When we come back, we have a couple more videos that we need to get through. And some of them are kind of hysterical. So we'll be back right after this.
Shout out to everybody. Thank you again so much to David Faris for interviewing today and coming on the show. We greatly appreciate you.
I got love. I got love. Some people say money gets you everything, but it don't make me happy. It's not the reason my heart sings. It's what I've got. You couldn't put a price on that.
make sure that's all right. Hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. What up, Go Cool?
Some people cool. Some people try to get tired. If you don't have a reason,
Purple Rain Hearts, that's right.
it's hard to make it all worthwhile. 'Cause what I've got surely makes the world go round. 'Cause I got something real. I got something real. 'Cause I got love. Yeah, yeah. I got love, love. Yeah, yeah. I got love. Yeah, yeah. I got love. Yeah, yeah.
Every Friday, y'all.
Have it just because you want it, Remember you're dealing with me, Walking and I'm moving like I got it, 'Cause baby, confidence is key, Now watch me, flex. Now watch me, flex.
Bubble Love and the Temptations.
Watch me while I flex. Watch me while I flex. Watch me while I flex. I'm always on my grind. I don't got time for weed. All that noise that I hear, I don't need
She said she ain't got no time for weed
I got
or
people
weed?
in my ear. I got places left
I'm trying to figure it out.
You got
Wait.
me on your mind, but I'm not trying to be. Now watch me.
We. Oh, we. Okay.
Now watch me.
Rebecca. Yeah.
Watch me while I
She gonna say it again. Let me hear it.
Right, that's why I had to leave it up.
What you say?
Watch me while I.
Okay, girl, we watching you while you.
What you gonna say though?
Right, girl, we watching.
500 diamonds on my wrist.
No.
Okay. Because did she say we don't have time for weave or weed?
Weave. I mean, I got time for weave. I
You
got
got time for both.
Yeah.
You got time for both. Like I don't know what she. Like
Ooh, my
it's a
mama
dope
watching
song,
all
but
that.
I don't know what she
got
talking
time for
about.
none of
We got to
People
read them.
I don't
Bitch, you know.
smoke.
Oh, okay. So y'all job is watching. Okay, yeah.
No, I really don't smoke.
I am my own job. And so I don't know what she talking about. We ain't got time for. Anyway, Rebecca.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But we all get in trouble. Go ahead.
there's this. Last night I woke up, around 3 a.m. The Lord's hour to pray, and while I was, when I went back to bed, I was looking at the phone, and I don't know why that came up, and I'm looking at it like, oh, this video is so touching, and I hope that this video touches you guys too. Let's take a look.
You should know you can go where
This is so touching. Was you about to make a friend?
you wanna go.
He doesn't have too many friends.
Take you there.
I'm gonna introduce
Go
myself.
over and introduce himself.
All this dream, put some faith.
Run it back. This is so
You
touching.
should know you can
man.
go
You ready to
where
say that, right? That's what happened to me.
Oh goodness. And he looks so lonely over there.
Yes.
It's so good for a black man to go over there and be friends. Get that shit out of here.
Dwayne, did you play yours that you dropped in the Slack yesterday, Dwayne?
Oh man. Oh,
you.
Do you have it? Yeah. Okay. Well,
Man,
that is.
Those,
let me tell you why that video is important. Let me
Okay.
tell you why the video is important, because it is the role of the older people in the community. I don't care if it's men or women, to let these kids know that that you're not as amazing as you think you are. It's just contextualizing reality. Because a lot of times these younger generations, I'm talking like old man, like y'all think y'all got it all figured out. So it was really necessary for that man to go over there and introduce. Moment. It's a teachable moment because you know what I mean. All them layups and stuff he's doing is good, but that's not how the real world works.
I gotta break your ankles for you to be better. Because y'all are out here thinking, practicing in the front yard. COVID-19 got them thinking a little, in the front yard is really going to do it. You got to, right now, these kids are lacking because they're not on the basketball courts with the neighborhood's children, getting their ankles broken, coming up, like getting dunked on by somebody's dad who's supposed to be out there with their kid just playing. Those are the moments that he's missing. So he had to do a service for the community, for that young man.
That's developmental.
He had to do that. So the thing is, when I did watch it, I was like, "Oh, this is sweet." But is this one of those videos? This is me. Those damn videos that they always recording themselves doing something good for the community. And then as I watched it, videos. I'm like, "No, this is good.
This is how it should be done."
I loved it.
Now, I did want to know where his mask was. I'm sorry. So
I think that was his kid. I was
gonna say because he didn't have a mask on. I think it was all set up because it was.
Look, we got to we're giving him the benefit of the doubt. I believe it was his kid or his
because you ain't gonna come in my yard and do my kid like that now.
Without no mask on, you're not gonna teach my kid.
I ain't gonna lie, it's not like I can come out there and then actually defend him and stop him from doing my kid like that. But you just ain't gonna come in my yard like that. You gonna have to at least have a mask on, coming there breaking my kid's ankles and stuff. All right, we got another one. All right, Dwayne, what's the run this next?
So hold on, and the people can hear me right now.
Okay,
look, everybody out there watching, I'm sorry. This probably shouldn't be funny, but I laughed for about 10 minutes, real tears.
Are we about to get canceled?
That's
Maybe.
why I said it.
So what's about to play does not represent the views of Like It or Not, of Ben Dixon, or Rebecca Azor. This is what Dwayne Gladden thought was funny. So here you go.
Okay. Oh, I feel like we're about to get in trouble. Oh my God. Oh my God. Why did you play this?
See, Dwayne, I'm not playing with him today.
I gotta screen this stuff before you put it. I gotta screen stuff before you put it on the screen.
This is Dwayne, and then Dwayne gave us the professional voice to let it be known. Like,
I'm not laughing.
With us.
I'm not laughing.
I'm not laughing. What part y'all laughing at? Because
I am not laughing.
I'm not even gonna break
Shame
it down.
on you, Dwayne. Shame.
Look, Dwayne, it's all you. Dwayne,
I'll
what's
take
up?
that. I'll take that.
Dwayne, shame on you.
Blame Bubba.
I am not laughing at it.
I was going to.
But play it one more time for the people so they can see what actually happened.
Okay.
I'm not describing anything.
Not saying a word.
Not saying a word. I just needed the people who are watching to be able to contextualize it for what's actually happening.
But my thing is, was it something that went into the drink that's suspect like a roofie?
No. It's like
what is happening in the drink?
It was a little piece of ice.
Like a little
shot put.
Yeah, so it was a little shot put. Yeah.
I'm not. No, that's between you and
Bubba. Because Bubba had a field day with Dwayne in the
Cause the way they come after me, they're gonna clip that segment and say Ben is out here doing X, Y. So I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing at that one. All right, folks. It's 10:28. Rebecca, we got anything else to laugh at? We got to we need to do one more bit. Okay. Run me the video of Ben Carson reading. Oh, and we got that. We got too many good ones. Okay. We're going to go maybe 5 minutes over. Let's start with who you want to go with, Rebecca, the Grits video or the Ben Carson reading the poem?
Let's do the Grits video because I know you've been trying to play that for a while. Let's get it out the way. And let's bring that damn Grits video back up and the conversation back up so y'all can understand that sugar don't go in grits.
Well, okay, so it's actually from yesterday. So Dwayne, we'll give you a second to go pull that one. Let's do the Ben Carson one real quick. All right.
I do not like to cancel books. I do not like how that looks. I do not like it here nor there. I do not like it anywhere.
This is my first time seeing this. So
I do not like it in the store. I do not want it anymore. I do think it's time past no longer to have thought a crime.
No, it's her
I do
acting like
hope
this is
one
a
day to
passionate
see across
situation.
my
I told you
country,
it's a high
tis of thee,
goal.
books used to read and learn instead of set ablaze to burn. Our heritage for all to share. Little patriots everywhere.
Did
Our
he make that up?
nation's rich, story rich and vast. Our true history taught in class. A special place for all to be. A place known for its liberty.
Oh my God.
It's liberty. What?
And she's sitting in the ballot.
And she's no, here go old girl on the side.
Rebecca.
James, you said what grade is he?
Yeah, what grade he in?
It's the fake
David. It's like Keely in the 3rd grade. Liberty.
David, it's the video I shared yesterday from Facebook. Ben Carson, that dude is a neuroscience, like neurosurgeon. This dude used to operate on people's brains, y'all.
Yo, I'm so sorry for the people who are listening on the podcast, because I know sometimes my laugh can be very loud, and I apologize, but you guys have to understand. I just watched something I've never seen, and it was just, I don't know why that's so funny to me. Ben was just breaking it down, but y'all had to see the way the lady was so passionate about this. Eating.
You know, she's a professional. Don't get me wrong. Look, she's at Fox News and they all trash over there. But for her to be able to sit there and with a straight face and listen to this Neanderthal read his 2nd grade poem from his phone, he was reading it and he still was messing it up. And it was a 2nd grade reading level poem. Dwayne, push play on that one more time.
Ben, say poem again.
No, play it again. You mock my accent.
Who made this man go on this goddamn news channel and sound a fool like that? Somebody
he thought he was going to sound smart.
Right.
It's her.
I do not like it anywhere.
Please pay attention to her.
I do not like it in the store. I do not want it anymore. I do think it's time past, no longer to have thought a crime. I do hope one day to see across my country, 'tis of thee, books used to read and learn
text the group
instead of
like, they
set
done got
ablaze
this man
to
on
burn.
here
Our heritage
looking
for
like
all to share. Little
reading.
patriots everywhere. Our nation's rich, story rich and vast. Our true history taught in class. A special place for
rich,
all to be.
Story
A
rich.
place known for its liberty.
Liberty.
I
can't. He performed brain surgery on people, folks. I think he performed brain surgery on himself a couple times. This is what happens when you do a self lobotomy. All right, we have one more. All right, this one is a whole different. This is a whole different genre. This is the continuation of the argument that's going on everywhere, and it has moved over about sugar and grits. Now, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure I'm around people who have some that aren't infidels. You two do not put sugar on your grits, right?
I don't really eat grits, but if I did, when I do at the restaurants, it'll be like the shrimp and grits. I only can imagine something salty with the grits.
Yes.
There's no way that you should eat it.
I would say if your shrimp has like a what's that? It's like a bisque, like a lobster bisque kind of. Like I could see something sweet in your shrimp on your grits, but the grits are not supposed to have sugar in them. Anyway, it hasn't ended yet. It's been going on for months, and now it's already moved into the gospel arena. And one of my favorite gospel artists, John P. Key, actually wrote a song about it. Like to hear it? Here you go.
Sugar don't go on grits. Sure as I'm John P. Key. If you need some sugar, go get you some cream of wheat. Hey, somebody gonna tell Kev on stage, Fred Hammond, you know better. What they wrote on the box was a trick, because sugar just don't go. Sugar don't go, don't go. Hey,
they going,
sugar don't go.
He's attacking
my grits. No.
Go to the bridge. Go to the bridge.
Sugar don't go, don't you go. Sugar don't go, sugar don't go. Sugar don't go. Sugar don't go. on them graves.
Oh my God. I just got some disturbing news. Somebody in the chat room said my homeboy Roland Martin puts raisins and sugar on his grits. That's got to be that's a lie. I do not accept that.
Maybe
man, John P. Key. Hey, John.
He said, "Sugar, don't you go." Why would he say, "Don't you go"?
Don't you go.
Don't you go on them grits.
He started, Benjamin, I'm still doing a show, man. He's like, he pulled it like a preacher. He was like, sugar. I was like, okay. And the thing, wait, all my kids are coming out. Is my time up?
Time is up.
My time is up.
The time is up.
The whole family is out.
Oh my God.
Okay. And I guess my wife says the show is over.
She's like, oh, he want to go over time. Oh, go on out, kid.
It's time for me to switch it to my Disney dad's outfit, guys. Hey, y'all some clowns, man. This has been the funniest show I think I've done in a long time.
This was a good show. I'm happy that you guys could make me laugh. Because sugar don't go on grits. Don't you go? Don't you go?
No. On green.
He said Fred Hammond. How you gonna call out Fred? But we're not gonna get into it.
He called out Kev on stage. Now Kev on stage had a response video. We're not gonna play that one because we'll play it on Monday. But he called out Fred Hammond, and I'm just wondering at this point, Kirk, where you at, man? Kirk Franklin, where are you on this sugar
on grits a little?
Nah, I believe in my boy.
Me sugar on grits.
Kids are screaming. I'm gonna mute my mic. James, Rebecca, what you got before we go?
I love you guys so much. I mean it.
My kids are screaming.
I love you guys so much. I mean it. I hope you guys make sure to follow us on Instagram. We're getting our Twitter together, but get on Instagram and follow us at Like It or Not Show. Again, that is Like It or Not Show. Follow me on Twitter at Rebecca Azor, REBECCA-AZOR. And I love you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Stay masked up. If you don't stay masked up, stay in the house because ain't nobody got time.
Right.
Whether you like it or not.
Hey, in Atlanta, it is All-Star Weekend. Y'all stay, y'all. MF and Butts in the house. All-Star Weekend don't mean nothing. Stay in the house.
Look, we're supposed to go, but here go baby with the it's like a little mohawk and still
I'm gonna freshen it up today. I'm gonna freshen the mohawk up.
Was still trying to do his thing.
Right.
My time is up, folks. See you Monday. All right, so actually see you tonight at the patron party. All right.
Oh yeah, I'll be there a little
tonight,
bit.
Patron party, a little bit.
Who all gonna be there? Bye.
You know what they say, Rebecca? Well, who all gonna be there? Well, who all there? Oh man.
I can do this with my eyes closed. It's too easy.
All right, y'all. Make sure that y'all are in the building tonight. Patron party goes down 9 p.m. 9 p.m. tonight, y'all. The patron party is going down, y'all.
Done it, seen it. Boy, all that like Kenny. Still got crack, they feeling.
All right, y'all. This is going to be the song of the day. The final song, should I say. Corporate America is calling it a day. You know how it goes, y'all.
Still trying to fight my demons. We all gotta act like Tina. That's why I gotta ride with the Nina. Outside, it's a war going on. They put hands on my head like a Macarena. They want you walking on board like Kima. Ain't give a F to you like John Cena. Putting blood on the brand new Beamer. Trying to earn 8 stripes like Adidas. You get cold when you ride with the heater. It'll turn you to a dog like a keto. And expose to a cat like a cheetah. They smoke my partner like reefer. Dímelo porque o no entiendo. Mi gente must really need Jesus.
All right, y'all. Make sure that y'all go to patreon.com/thebpd show. Patreon.com/thebpd show to become a supporter and a patron, y'all. This way you'll get exclusive content and ad-free content, and you'll get exclusive access to the VIP room, the Lions Den, and of course you'll be able to be a part of the Patreon parties, one which is going down tonight. So y'all make sure that y'all are in the building. We'll go down and Bubba will be DJing. Yes, sir, I will.
Too easy. I've been there, done it, seen it. Y'all just talk, don't live it. And just took that route, that seen it.
Family, I love y'all.
Like Reason, Jimmy Neutron, boy, Young G's. And I'm a self-made man out of Sweden. And it's still off top, I'm tweaking. But I still gotta fight my demons. I ain't no good, I'm evil. I
I ain't been clean since Eden. There's a war going on outside, make you put your hands on your head like the Macarena. That's why I gotta watch my demeanor. You know they locking up blacks and Latinos. It's the same old game, ain't nothing really changed but the mileage on the meter of the beamer. You get cold.
All right, and make sure before you go that you hit that like button, y'all. Hit that like button, hit that like button. And also make sure that you share and subscribe so you know when Like It or Not is going down, y'all.
He said real blood, I never seen the crypt and I believe it. It's too easy.
All right, y'all, and that's going to wrap it up for your boy James Bubba Williams, better known as DJ Exclusive. It was an awesome week, man. Jesus. This week was epic. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did, man. We had fun bringing it to y'all. So we had fun that y'all love. We hope that you all had fun watching it and hearing it as much as we did. Shout out to all our guests this week, man, and shout out to everybody, man. We love y'all. The Pride Family, Lions Den, love y'all. Make sure that y'all tune in, first of all, tonight for the Patreon party going down 9 p.m. And whatever we do, y'all, as usual, we'll see y'all on Monday. I can't stand people. All right. Love y'all, man. See y'all on Monday morning. Like it or not, make sure you get the Voices by Access Pride app too. Join the Like It or Not community. We'll see you tonight and see you Monday morning. Mwah, deuces.